Hello YouTube, Teardown time. This is a random control box I got from eBay with the intention of turning it into a control box for my 3D printer. It's fairly boring inside actually, but the construction lends itself to being reused. So quick look around the outside. We've got a very nice high quality number panel, some buttons, some displays, which unfortunately probably won't be reusable. I'll show you why when I take it apart. Nice vented enclosure, heatsink on the back, made by Teardown controls. Some great big plugs, sockets rather, which I don't have the plugs for, rather annoyingly. So yeah, there we go. Let's start with the front panel. It needs to come off. So this front panel itself is quite interesting. Like a lot of aircraft stuff you've seen in my other teardowns, it's actually backlit. You can see the connection for the backlight there, and if I take it apart I'll show you how it's backlit. So here we go. To start with, this front panel is made of perspex, clear, transparent, painted perspex, which you can see if I zoom into one of the little recesses here. And this board has lots of little lights on. These are actually light bulbs that are designed to shine out sideways. You don't see things like that these days. So back to the box. This whole part comes off, vented top and bottom, so you can get a nice cooling airflow through the whole unit. And here we go. So you can see you've got 3 boards with some backplane connectors on the bottom and lots of wires, which I'll have to rip out because they won't be remotely suited to what I want to do, because these things never are. Right, let's take the boards out and have a look at them. This is a Teardown. This one. So these other 2 boards are the drivers for the displays, and wired directly into them rather than going through the backplane plugs. So unfortunately I have to take the display out at the same time as the board, which is not brilliant design, but there we go. These display modules are quite interesting, and we'll come back to them later. So let's move on the boards. This one's got hot. Don't know what went wrong there. Maybe just age and an underspec component. Interestingly, the connectors aren't gold plated. That's quite unusual for this sort of high reliability aeroplane hardware. Very heavily conformal coated though, as you can see, it's all shiny. Chips 1974 it looks like. Right, so that one's very long. This one, oh dear, what's all this? Yeah, some big chips on there, I don't recognise them. This has been repaired. All the wire is silver Teflon wire. I can feel it's really slippery, so that's a giveaway for silver Teflon. And another great big board. Well, none of these are any good for the control system I have in mind, so let's put them aside for later. Okay, what else do we have here? Let's zoom out a bit. So, okay, now, unfortunately these connectors aren't readily reusable due to the way the inserts, the socket inserts fit in. So I think I'm going to have to take it all out. Interestingly, they skimped on the gold pins and only put in the ones they were using. Kind of strange for this sort of cost is no object construction. They usually just max everything out. Right, unfortunately, these lovely plugs aren't reusable. Although these sort of bulkhead connectors are quite common on avionics things, the plugs that go into them are like unicorn horns and you just can't find them anywhere. And to buy new they'd be incredibly expensive, so it's not really worth it. Also they're actually glued together, this rubber bit is glued in, so you can't readily change the cables and pins in them. So there's nothing for it but to just cut them out. And there's some power supply circuitry in the back of this, in the unit that the heat sink's in. And I may retain some of that. There's some voltage regulators and so on, so that might be quite useful. It's always supposed to be a little bit careful when you're taking these things apart with cutting wires, because even if you don't think there's anything that you're going to use, you never know when you're going to come across a component that has fixed wires coming out of it that you want to recycle, and if you carelessly cut them short, that can be a real pain. So now let's take the whole front panel off. two of these units, I'm done with them, so I can move around a bit. Someone's been in this one before me and munged up all the screws. Right, here we go. So here's the back of the number panel. Very, very nice quality, very, very good quality switches, as you can see. Now, unfortunately they're wired in a way which isn't much use to me, again, like the whole this thing, so I'm going to be a bit brutal and just remove all the data connections. They're also backlit, which is what all these black wires are, so I'll leave them in place because I'm going to reuse the backlighting. That's just a, kind of a cool thing that I can reuse for very little effort. So you can see each switch actually has two wires per switch leading back, which is overkill really. All you really need is a kind of a grid construction, which I'll go over when I do the rebuild. But you can get away with having a lot less wires going to your control panel, which is always a good thing. And there we go, that's free. Back to this, and time to butcher these connectors, because as I said, they can't really be reused. You can buy some more, though, which fit in the same space, so that's what I'll do. Right, so that's more or less disassembled, preserving as many of the power cables as can easily be preserved. I'll probably have to go through all this. Let's just have a look in the back. Let's just have a look at this heatsink cover panel. So what do we have here? We have a 2N3055, that's pretty standard. Some funny little transistory thing there. This is a LM323, that's a variable voltage regulator, a high power variable voltage regulator, so that can stay, definitely I'll reuse that. That's a rectifier. I haven't decided how I'm going to power this, whether it's going to be from mains or AC or the 3D printer DC supply yet, so I don't know. It's pressure fitted into the heatsink, so I'll probably just ignore it if I don't use it and leave it there. So yeah, there we go. Oh, there's another look inside. That transformer is actually a 400 Hz aircraft transformer, so probably not a lot of use. Again, not really decided how I'm going to power this, so I think I'll leave that there for now. These connectors, I've got some new ones on order. The width here is standard, I think it's 120mm. That's inches. No, not inches, millimeters. Yeah, about 120mm, which is a standard width. So I just need to find some standard 120mm width PCB with an edge connector, which will fit into the plugs I've got. And there's mounting slides down the slide, so I can just put in new plugs and slot my own PCBs in, and it'll all be great. Right, so as promised, I just wanted to talk about these display units a little bit, because they work on quite a novel principle that you don't really see these days. So I'll slice one out and I'll get to work. So to start with, they're all their own little modules like this. Yep, I'm not going to use them, and you'll see why when I open it. Nice long screws in them at least. So, to start with, I shall show you the new one. Now the interesting thing you notice about these is, just focusing some light. The display is actually composed of dots, lots of little dots. And they achieve this with fibre optics. So here's the dot display mechanism, and you can see here they just have little bundles of fibre optic cable which go through and form the dots, which is a kind of a nice way of doing it. In the days before you could make stuff as small as an individual pixel. So what have we got here? Well, that comes off. Another thing comes off. So these are the lights, obviously, which illuminated the clusters of fibres on the back of this. And these lights aren't LEDs, they're light bulbs. There they are, a whole array of little light bulbs. And that's why I'm not going to bother reusing it, because this thing's from the 70s and probably half of them are dead anyway, and if they're not dead now then they will be soon. I just can't be asked building something with it's just going to die like that. So yeah, there we go. That's kind of novel, isn't it? You don't see that every day. Nice little metal divider thing there. So yeah, I did think about trying to replace them with LEDs, maybe, because it would look quite cool. And they do of course have the advantage that these lighting units fit in the case very nicely. But yeah, I don't know, I think it's just going to be too much effort really. These are 14 segment displays, I think. Let's focus here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 segment displays. And these ones were more standard 7 segment. I think what I'll do though is just mount some normal LCD displays in there. It'll be easier and easier to drive. So as a final thing to note, the switches here are actually backlit, and with some force you can take out the little buttons, and they have, yeah, you guessed it, light bulbs in them. This thing was definitely made before they invented LEDs, or at least before LEDs were reliable enough to use in something like this. And they have a fairly standard fitting of light bulb, so I think I might just go on using them, because I've got quite a few little light bulbs that I've fished out of things in this fitting, and it's you can get LED equivalents, but they're really expensive, and I could only find them coming from America, so that's kind of annoying, because I have to be import duty on them. So yeah, I think I might just go on using light bulbs. I don't really need backlighting, of course, for a 3D printed control box, but it'll be a nice touch. So yeah, what else have we got? We've got a little potentiometer, a delete button thing. I don't know what I'll do about that. So yeah, there we go. One more aircraft box reduced to its constituent parts. hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.